Karen, can you believe we're at part 3 of this great conversation with Leanne?
Well, of course we are, and we should be at part 5 because when we get together, we we could just talk, talk, talk. So you did
So
cover a
true.
fraction of, you
We
know.
did. That's okay. We'll do so many more in the future. But I think the third and final part of this episode is so awesome because it really does take you all the way through the whole journey of how, we were lucky enough to know Leanne as our friend.
Yes.
And a lot of y'all get to know her as your friend now too, because she is that person. She's just that what you see is what you get. But it's really great to know this evolution. And she tells the story so beautifully because we had front row seats.
Yes.
And it's just such a great, honest, and what Leanne has made a business out of and is always will be is authentic.
Yes, and how things, how life unfolds and if you step into that moment, you know, life can continue to offer up things that keep you moving in the right direction when you are on your path, I think.
Amen. And what you said, and we all agree, you just got to lean into when you know something's a God thing.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
there's a whole lot of goodness in the God thing in here. So without further ado, y'all, please listen, rate, subscribe, share this episode with somebody that you know needs it. Because let me tell you something, there's so much inspiration in here. Share it because I know I needed to hear it and I knew the story. So
That's right. Me too.
right? So, without further ado, this is part 3 of our episode with our dear friend, amazing human, and all around epic comedian, Leanne
Leanne
Morgan.
Morgan.
You gotta be this who you are. You gotta be this who you are. Don't let them sway you. No one can change you. You gotta be this who you are.
Yes, there's another good one, Kay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was, 2 headshots. And when Trish came along, you were probably investing more in yourself, Karen, but when Trish was always doing her website and all that kind of stuff, and I remember saying to Chuck, I need a website. He was like, you don't need a website. But I didn't know how to do all of that. And then when I said that it was really hard for me to take that money, because it was a lot of money for me at the time, to give these boys, those young boys at Honest Fox, and I thought I'm going to give it 3 months because it was so much money for me at the time. I thought I'm going to give it 3 months, and I'm gonna take this chance. If it doesn't happen, that's God's way. I'm fine, but I got to give it this one more thing. And it's important to invest in yourself. And I also
I
think that,
remember you calling me, Leanne, and saying, I will not forget that. It was in the middle of the pandemic. And you called me and said, because you had worked your butt off. Then we had the pandemic, and you're like, this tour is never going to happen. I was like, that's not the case. Like, you were like, it's not going to happen. But you said to me, you need to go invest in you. And I felt like because I hadn't been on stage which is crazy because no one was. It was the pandemic, but it's imposter syndrome in the story you tell yourself, and that's why I think this is really important. You called me and you said, "Here are the boys." You gave me their information, and I was so scared to invest in myself because I was at this like, "What's that going to matter?" And I think it's such a powerful thing to really drive home to people that and it wasn't because I didn't think I didn't have anything to say. It was this weird moment of like that felt like all the money in the world in the pandemic when we didn't know if we were going to work again. And like Leanne said, we sat in different seats. At that time, I just gone through a divorce and I thought, this is all the money I have in the whole wide world. I thought, oh my gosh, it's like you felt like Jack and the Beanstalk and you were blowing it on magic beans. That's what it felt like at that moment. But I remember you calling me and saying, you need to do this. And I did not have that belief in myself. And I loved that you were like, you do. What's wrong with you? Like, it was the first time you'd ever, and mommed me is not the word because you're one of my dearest favorite humans. You've never mommed me, but you were very like, do it. And I was so scared. I probably jick and birdied. I was so scared that I was like, oh, I can't do this. And I think back now of that was such a powerful lesson because you were always like, invest, like do it. Who knows, but you can do it. And that to me was Karen's right. You really were like, you've got to do it. And it doesn't matter how many damn websites you build or how many times you take a photo. If ain't nobody seeing them, it ain't gonna matter. So
Well, and the thing too is and to me, this was a God thing. Leanne had done that dry bar special, and
Oh, yeah.
hopefully I won't say something I shouldn't. If I do, we'll cut it out. But she had done a dry bar special, and they actually overpaid her by accident. And as she said before, she would take the money that she earned and she'd buy kids shoes, she'd buy uniforms, she'd buy things they
Sure.
needed.
Kept the
But
lights on.
but
Yeah.
even though they overpaid her some on that first check, she kept it and they just took it out of the future payouts. But that extra money she got on that mistake, which I think was a
Right.
God thing,
God thing.
yeah,
Mhm.
gave her the money to pay
Had the
for that,
runway.
to go do
Mhm.
it, to invest in herself without having to go to some other job or to have to ask Chuck for it or
That's
anything
right.
like that. It gave her that, and I think that was a God thing. And
That was a
so
God thing.
yeah, and so that's how she had the ability to hire them. And it's just when the parts move together,
When
and
everything lines up.
that's
That's
right.
right.
And I just think that
And
was
I think it's important to say yes. Like, why not? What are you going to
What you
lose if
got to
you don't?
lose?
Yeah, if you don't, and this has been calling this next tour just getting started tour. I feel like I'm just getting started at 58, and I do feel like that women feel inspired. They're like, look at what is happening to Leanne at 58 years old,
yeah.
and it's so hard for me, like being around Reese Witherspoon and all these entrepreneurs that are in their 40s. I think, oh, I'm so much older, and well, I know, and age is really, we put that on ourselves. That
That's
is
right.
nothing to do with anything, unless I
That's
was
right.
going to go in Playboy, and I'm not. So that really, we put that on ourselves. And I feel like I'm wiser than I've ever been. I think I don't know if I'm funnier than I've ever been, but I'm more confident than I've ever
You
been
are.
to,
You're so funny.
Yes.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I
But
think
no,
I don't wanna use the word grown into your own because that sounds crazy. You've always been you, but I think there's this really sweet, uh, co n comfort, but, like, you now understand your worth. That's in the seats I sit in. Like, you've always been this valuable to your friends, to your family, to everybody else, and it's now I feel like, I don't know if that's true, you tell us, but it's like you now understand the value of your worth, where we've all always seen it, and now you're like, I see it."
And I can't say
thank you.
that. I mean, you've always been so, so funny. So I don't know if you're funnier than you've ever been, but what you are, just from the level of confidence, the so many shows you've done over, I mean, over the last few years is unbelievable. And you own the stage more. I don't know that you're funnier, but you own the stage more, and which also milks laughs because you've always had looks and expressions and things that got further laughs than just a joke. But now you take the time, you own the stage. And you have the audience in the palm of your hand. So that's, I think, the difference. But you and your material always been hilarious.
Oh, god, yeah. That's why I'm asking you, do you feel like there's a worth for you, Leanne? Do you feel like you have that now ownership of what we all knew, but that you now are taking that ownership of like, yeah, yeah, I've earned it.
I'm good at
This
this.
is
Yeah.
what I'm good at this because you've always had this level of just magic.
Yeah, well, there are times I still think, like when I was at Tom Brady's roast, when things like that happen to me, I'm at Netflix's A Joke Festival, and I'm walking up to Dave Chappelle, or I'm at Ted Sarandis's house, and John Mulaney walks up to me, or Judd Apatow. I still am a little like, oh, what am I doing here? But then I'll have little flashes where I think, okay, I belong here. I belong here. My Netflix special has been successful.
I've earned this.
The
Yeah.
numbers,
You've
the
done the
numbers are
time.
there. The numbers are there, and I think, okay, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be at the table, but there's always a little something that'll come back, creep in, and go, well, I am older than everybody, which I'm really not. When I think about it, I think about Bill Burr, Dave
Yeah,
Chappelle, all
yeah.
these Cat Williams, all these people are in their 50s,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Gaffigan, I mean,
Seinfeld, for corn's sakes. Knock it
and somebody
off.
said to me the other day, they go, I can't remember who because I talked to so many people, but they're like, really, it takes that long to get to be that good or at that level. And then I think this, meeting those people, I realize now that if you're at that level, they've been very respectful of me. That John Mulaney did the whole Def Leppard bit for me, did the whole Def Leppard, and was so, and I realize now that that they must have respect for me to have gotten to this level, and that when I talk to people like that, it's getting easier for me. I don't feel as intimidated. I'm still a little intimidated, but I think, oh, okay, they know I'm at this. I'm invited to this. I'm supposed to be here. But it's hard, to receive that. But it's wonderful. I mean, wonderful. But somebody was saying it takes that long to master. Chuck Lorre said, Leanne, there is some book he always quotes about it takes 10,000 hours to master
Yeah.
something. And he said, you have clearly mastered it.
The
And I
tipping
guess
point.
that is
Tipping
the
point.
last
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
I took a different path than everybody with children, but I got in that time. And so, I guess that's a constant thing that, I'll just be intimidated by things. I'm scared of things that I've never done before. That, like doing a movie. Fortune Feimster looked at me and said, there's a piece of tape, Lynn, that's called a mark. Get on it and stand on it and say your line. I didn't even know that. So so there's always things that I'm scared of and all that, but if I can get through it and learn it, then I feel more confident.
Yeah.
And I still see myself as a 20-year-old it girl. I still think, oh, maybe I could be Cameron Diaz when she hit it big in her early 20s. And I think, what am I talking about? Because I'm still, worried about my breast and my how I look in my clothes and all that. And I think, nobody cares about that, Leanne. But I still see in my head, oh, I'm 19 or I'm 20, and I've got to be pretty, and I've got to be Hollywood to me was being beautiful and young and thin and all that, and I think I'm not going to be the it girl. I'm not going to be in the next Julia Roberts, the redo of Pretty Woman in the bathtub, and that's okay. That's
But
okay.
you are the it girl. You're just redefining the it girl. How about that, it girl?
That's a good way of looking at it because I do think I know I get deep, but I do think women over 50 are having a moment. Karen and I say it all
Yes.
the time.
Oh, yeah.
We're having a moment, and more people are doing so well, and even in Hollywood, like that is, you think about, and Reese is 47, I think, but Jennifer
She's
Aniston,
48.
all these
We're
people.
or 49. We're a year apart. I'll be 50 this year,
Oh,
y'all.
that's right, when she was shooting the movie. So yeah, you're
I'll
right.
be 50, and I think she's a year, but we're like
You will
months
be
apart.
50, Trish, or
I know.
December. Will
I
you?
know, y'all. My birthday is one day left in the year, y'all. So I always say, so like basically all next year I'll be 50. I was born December 30th. So yes, December 30th I turn 50, Leanne. If you can wrap your brain around that.
Oh my
I know.
gosh, my darling. Well, just
I
get
know.
ready. It'll be the best decade of your life. Get ready. It's the
I
best thing. You think it's
all
not?
I think
It
of
is.
you is I think of you and Kay all the time, saying it's going to be the greatest thing because you won't care. You literally won't. You just won't care
You
in the
won't
best
care
way.
about, yeah, you won't care about crap that you've cared about that meant nothing.
Nothing.
That's what it is. Not that you don't care about things.
Right.
You don't care about a bunch of mess that meant nothing
Well,
anymore.
I
And
think
it's
that's why I'm
great.
so grateful for y'all because I realized I got to do a better part of a decade with two, and I'll cry because I just, oh, when you have people that are like, you don't realize all the way they're giving you nuggets of like, girl, don't worry about all that. Like, don't worry about, and I would go, oh, I've got to worry about all that. Blah, blah, blah. And you'd both be like, who cares? Let's go to Applebee's and get a sweet potato fry. And I look back now and it's like this gorgeous, uh, training, for lack of a better word, for people that you love that are genuinely who they say they are, both of you, going, that ain't gonna matter. And I have this gorgeous calm rolling into 50 of like, it ain't gonna matter because I've had two people that are killing it that I adore that were like, don't worry about all that. And I'd always have that in the back of my mind when I'd start getting stressed about the silly, stupid stuff of the both of you going, ain't gonna matter. Who cares? And it's given me this grace of going, ain't nobody gonna care about that, Trish. Ain't nobody gonna care. Because that's all you both said to me repeatedly. No matter there was stuff that we genuinely care about, but it's the little things that we would let eat us up that I'm grateful. And y'all taught me about my hormones as they were headed into a ditch. So that's another thing I'm so grateful for.
But one of the things I find funny on this tour is that this demographic, one of the reasons I think they've embraced Leanne so much, and we laugh about it all the time. It's like she's like one of us got out, and so
Yes.
yeah, so it's like
Well, it's the hope. It's the Leanne's the beacon.
yeah, yeah, and she's
She's
made
the light.
women over 50 visible.
100%. And not make everything that everybody goes through. And I always, my new stuff now, I talk about not wanting to let the cheese slide off the cracker and how long I've had to not let the cheese slide off the cracker. But there's some things that are just going to slide off the cracker. Like there are some things
Yeah.
that are going to slide off the cracker. And that is freaking K. And that's the beauty of our friendship and being time served with the both of you is how much it has been laid out for me that I wasn't going to be in a hole wearing a house coat and rocking and drinking warm yogurt. Like it was going to be, it was
Well,
going to
and let me
be
tell
okay.
you, Trish, I need to tell you this. Jillian Dempsey has always, Patrick Dempsey's wife, has been so good to me and Tess. Her mama started watching me during COVID and was shut in, during COVID, elderly. And Jillian Dempsey messaged me and said, my mom has really found joy in watching you. Can I send you my makeup line as a thank you? And I said, my daughter follows you and is a big fan of yours. She's a makeup artist. And so she said, I'm sending it to her too. So she sent all this makeup to us and we love it. And then we've stayed in contact over the years. And then I was working the Pantages at LA and she wanted to come. And then she said, "Oh, Leanne, that is the night that my twins are going to prom," and they didn't tell me, but they've signed me up to do everybody's makeup. And so I was like, "I get it. Don't worry about it." And I was there for a week and a half. And so she said, "Can you come to Malibu to have dinner?" And so Tess and I drove, and Patrick they had to go somewhere internationally the next day for a race car. He's in a race car owner of a team. And so he didn't come. And Tess said, we went with her and she is stunning and precious. And she said, Tess goes, "Tell Patrick Dempsey that he was the love of my life from age 7 to 20. She got so tickled. And Tess said, I went pre-med because of him, didn't make it. But I went pre-med because of him. I thought I could do surgery. Anyway, she sat and told us all this stuff she said, well, your mom, when you do, because Tess is going to do my makeup for my sitcom, she said, this is what you're going to need for this kind of light, da da da. It was so wonderful, and told Tess all these tips and what to do. And then I said, I just feel like, should I do anything like, I went to a plastic surgeon. My breasts have expired, my breast implants, and I just thought, well, maybe I need a little something under my. And he said, you need a full facelift and all this stuff, and I didn't want a facelift. And anyway, she goes, Leanne, please, please be who you are. This is what everybody loves. She said, we're all out here trying to stay perfect. And, she said she exercises and all the time. And I'm telling you, you talking about looking like a movie star, Jillian Dempsey, beautiful. But she said, we already have so much of this burden on us out here to be perfect and everything's got to be. Please let us have you like you are. Please don't do anything. That's what it is. It's where everybody loves so much. Please don't get caught up
100%.
in that mess, because that means nothing. And we're all caught up in it, and we've had to live it for years, and nobody wants that. It's not real. And I thought that was so sweet of her because
Yes.
I saw
Yes.
myself on the movie. I thought, I need a chin implant. What happened to my chin? And then, and she goes, please don't do anything. let us have this in you. Let us have this because that
I
you're
love
beautiful and
her.
this is normal.
That's right.
And it really, I thought that was very sweet and it was very helpful to me because I thought,
Did
you're
you
right. I
receive
don't need
it?
to be caught up in
Okay.
all that. It's not about it's not about my size. It's not about my, I'm human. I get worried about all that. And that's, I guess, the appeal. And people want, they know that I'm going to tell them, my bladder's weak and my pelvic floor, I'm in PT and, yeah. And, and people want to know that it's okay. It's okay. And
That's right.
I've got to remember that I'm not Julia Roberts in Pretty Lady and Pretty Woman.
You're the new it girl. When you do that cover, will you at least say, "Hey, I got reminded by my girlfriend Trish that I am the new it girl," because you will do a spread that says the new it girl. I know it. I can't wait to see it in Vanity Fair. I'm speaking that into existence.
Thank you. I would love to be in Vanity Fair. I always got that
You will.
in the mail.
You
And
will. You will get it. You will be it. I can't wait to see the cover article. You'll be I will read that story cover to cover.
thank you. Thank you. That I there. I hope I get to be in Vanity Fair. I got to be in Variety, and that was a shock. I was tickled over that, but who
It's
knows
coming.
what the world's coming down the pike. I really and truly mean this, though. If whatever happens, it has been so much more and sweeter and more wonderful than anything I ever dreamed of. So if when it does go down and I'm not in demand, I really think it'll be okay because this has been crazy and so wonderful. Just so wonderful.
And I think don't
Anything I
you
could have ever dreamed of. And I dream big. I dream big. But
it's
this
all
was,
on your terms.
well, and I never thought that it would be a grandmama and her daughter and her granddaughter. I mean, that kind of stuff is just so sweet to hear. And that's the sweet part is that the how people are love on me. And Kate, you can tell her before I ever go out on stage. I mean, they're standing up, blowing me kisses before I ever say a word, and just like doing this at me, and I'm like doing that at them, and I'm like, what? At first it messed with my head, but now it's just they're just feel like they know me and that
Oh,
I'm speaking what they care about.
Oh yeah.
and there are times when I introduce you that you get a standing ovation when you walk out. You don't even get to don't even wait till the end and they're on their feet. I mean, they are in love with you.
No, thank you, and it makes me feel good that men or more and more men are coming. And I always want men to know that I'm in love with men. I have loved men since kindergarten, and I'm flirty. I flirt. But I love men. I love men in a half zip. I love men that can do math. I love I love those boys out there in a golf shirt. And I think they appreciate, I just don't bash, I
No.
need men. We need men. I needed Chuck Morgan. So I hope they know that because that thrills me when they come because it's skewing a little younger now. There's a lot of young mamas
Yeah.
coming and that's why I think I'll probably re-record some of the early material about raising children because all that's evergreen. Everybody goes through that same.
Oh yeah,
Somebody's
sure.
had a doo-doo ball fall down at the grocery store.
Yes, and it's also very you need that. You need that reassurance that it's all going to work out from somebody you love and trust, and who better than you to tell somebody that.
Yeah. And I know that I said it last night, these darling girls that are in their 20s and 30s, it's no telling what they were going to have to go home and do to pay for those tickets. And I said, I'm so thankful for y'all. I know, because I had to do that. If I got to go anywhere, I thought, oh, Chuck's going to drink a beer and I'm going to have to do it after a Shania Twain concert. After you've been up all night, then you got to go home and get up with kids the next morning. Because they're like, it's a date night. And, drink a couple of beers and start grabbing your breasts at a concert. We just went to Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind and Fire, and Chuck Morgan drank. And I thought, oh God, what am I going to have to do? But I didn't. I didn't have to. Chuck was tired, and thank the Lord for that. We got to meet Philip Bailey. We got to meet Philip Bailey backstage. I didn't get to meet Lionel Richie, but I'm a big Earth, Wind, and Fire fan. And Philip Bailey's wife saw me on the road and screamed at me and got out of the car. It was crazy and said, "We know all about you because you said during that Def Leppard video in Chattanooga," I said, Chuck likes rock and roll. I'm more of an Earth, Wind, and Fire gal. And that got to them and they became fans. It was just crazy.
I love
I
that.
know. So I got to meet little Philip Bailey, the lead
It tells
singer.
you. It
Yes,
tells you
yes.
too the power of social media. I mean, you never know who's seeing what you put out.
Amen
I
to
know.
that.
It's crazy. I know. That's why everybody's got to work on that darn social media.
I know. If anybody heard a takeaway, it's be who you are and invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna ask you some fast questions, Leanne, and then let you beat bop out of here because I know this will end up being a 3-part episode because it was just so gosh darn fun, and we love you, and we know that you both are working like crazy women with 13 jobs. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank
We
y'all for
love
having
you.
me.
We love you. We're gonna ask some funny ones real quick. Real quick. Here's our fast questions. Toilet paper. Do you put it on the roll, over, or under?
I put it on the roll. You mean you put it on the thing, right?
Do you put it pull over, like pull it towards you, or underneath,
Oh,
pull down?
I like it to be pulled toward me, but sometimes I'm
Over.
tired and I put it on in the middle of the night because my family does not put a toilet paper on the thing. And I don't know. It drives me, and I'm not a good housekeeper, and I've got a lot of flaws, but I can't stand it. So I'm the one that's always like walking, dripping, trying to get to the toilet paper to get new because nobody's gotten put it on the thing. But no, if I like it to come toward me, but it doesn't always happen if I'm pissed.
Oh, I love you so much.
I
My
swear,
stomach
I
hurts.
feel the same way that I'm always changing a toilet paper roll. Sometimes
Me
I'll
too.
be in a public restroom and have to change toilet paper. And I'm like, does
I
anybody else ever do this?
I've done it in green rooms where I'm like, really? You couldn't have started with a fresh roll? Oh, I know. If you were a professional athlete, Leanne, what would your walk up song be? You're a baseball player and you're coming to bat. Because I know they're different than comedy walk up songs. That's why I thought I'd ask you.
the first thing that comes to my mind would have to be I would want "I'm Every Woman" because that's my kind of my theme song now. But what about "Mother" from Danzig?
Oh, that is good.
And I tell you where I
Leanne with
got
the
that.
curveball.
Well, I tell you where I got that. Tony Vitello, who is the University of Tennessee's coach. Who have you not Googled him, Trish? Google him. You talking about a beauty? He is our movie star, and they are doing so well, and they're going to Omaha.
Yeah, they're in the
They're in
finals
Really?
of World Series.
Okay, hold on. I'm putting him up right now. Hold on.
He
Oh,
is stunning,
me.
and nobody can
Oh,
get their breath around. I know, and that's his walk-up song. So that would be my walk-up song.
oh my. It is unbiblical the thoughts you have. What is he, 12? How old is this? Oh,
He played
wow.
for the
Okay.
University of Arkansas, I think, and he's probably in his 40s, I'd say.
40s. Yeah.
And
Okay.
he
That makes me feel a little
a
bit better. I thought I was
bachelor.
having.
He is a
He's,
bachelor, and I think he's a player.
I
But
could see
you
why.
talk about a beauty. Maggie has met him, and they locked eyes, and she said, I mean, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
He's really pretty.
pretty.
Wowzers.
And
Okay.
he like gets in there and fusses and yells, and everybody gets, they go, you're about to be Tony Bede. Tony Vitello,
Oh,
because he's a bad mamma jam and he gets mad and gets up in people's faces, but it's cute.
and I love that you went with that song. That's fantastic.
Mother
I,
dancing. Hmm.
yeah, that was a curveball I wasn't expecting, and I'm here for it. I love everything about that. And Kay, do you have one before we
uh,
of any of our quick questions?
what podcast or book or anything are you listening to right now, Leanne? Or do you even have time? Or are you just trying to work on getting your own stuff out? Or do you have time to listen to any podcast?
I do listen to a podcast, and I tell you all the time, and Trish, you know her. I get on a plane and I download the latest episode of Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Juicy Scoop.
I'm telling you,
Yes.
She is so funny to me. And I've told her, I got to be on it one time, but I said, Heather, it's just something fun. She just goes over like what's going on in the news, what's going over, and she's got a really good take on things. She's got a lot of sense, and she is not one of these people that ask a bunch of stupid questions that you really don't want to know about. She goes through and knows, like, for instance, Kanye West and his new wife, and she's always wearing those stockings and doesn't have on a
Yeah,
bra.
I'm very confused by that.
Heather McDonald will say they were spotted at so and so, and she talks about the things you would be asking. I can't even explain it. But and then she's got boys and she talks about her kids all the time. And I think that we probably would have parented the same way. She's got a husband that is probably like Chuck Morgan. And, but
Peter,
she has
yes.
good guests on there and I don't know. It's just a fun, you just have a ball laughing, laugh out loud. I do love a good medical podcast, and Karen and I listen to Dr. Mark Hyman. I do like Andrew
Oh,
Huberman.
yeah, Doctor's Pharmacy.
Yeah,
So
I
good.
like all that about sleep. I'm in reflux. We're out here and it's hard and we don't feel good. And we're always trying to figure out a better way to feel with the
I got you,
supplements.
girls. We'll
So I
talk
love
about
all
it.
those kind of podcasts, but for just fun, Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop. Plus, she always talks about all those housewives. And Trish, I watched that
You love
mess.
a housewife.
I don't watch it anymore. But I loved it, and I know who all those people are, and she will talk about all that stuff, and it's just funny to me. It's just
And it's
funny. And
probably a
they'll
good
talk about
break for you because you have to constantly.
they'll talk about hacks, and
I
she'll
love
have
hacks.
one of the writers on the hacks will be on there, and it's just, and I've met him, Guy Branum, and he wrote on or did something on our movie, but it's just that kind of stuff she'll have on. I love.
I love that. I know Heather's great. I've known Heather a long, long
You
time.
need to
Long
listen to
time.
one of those episodes. I'm telling you, and she'll go into, she does impressions and she'll go into talking like Drew
Drew
Barrymore.
Barrymore.
Oh, and it is so funny. She knows she is a good impressionist.
She really is. She
Mhm.
did Chris Jenner pretty well too, which makes me tickled. I love that. And then I'm going to ask, even though you already really answered it, I'm going to ask you one quick one. What do you know so far for sure in life?
Um, I know that time is a ticking. Time is a ticking. I'm 58 years old, and I am really realizing now, and I hate that you don't know this when you're in your 20s and 30s, but when we're talking about you turning 50, a bunch of crap doesn't matter. And you just don't know it when you're coming through this life. But I think I'm getting to a stage where I really know what's important and how do I really want to live my life? What do I want to do? And I really do want to help people. I find joy in helping and being there for my family and my friends and all that. That's what matters. We're all gonna die, and it's this. And this life is a piece of a dew on a blade of grass. There's scripture to that, but I was raised Methodist and I don't know what it was. But it goes by in a flash, and I think you start thinking that way. Kay, you probably think that way too. You get in your late 50s and early 60s, and you're like, I mean, I hope I live to be 100, but what do I want, and what do I care about? And I care about being around people who love me, who lift me up. I don't want to be around butthole people. I
Yep.
want to, and let's all pray for the butthole people, but I want to be with my family. I want to be able to leave something, a legacy that I'm proud of, I'm not ashamed of, that I help somebody, if God has blessed me with this, what do I do with it? And, that's what I know now is that life is short. Live life to the fullest every day. And I tell Kay all the time, she'll go, I don't want to do that video. I go, who cares? Put it out
That's right.
there. It's gonna be gone. What difference does it make? Just
That's
do
right.
it. Just do it. And I think I just shared a woman who was 105, just got
I
her
did
master's at
at
Stanford.
Stanford. Oh, I was crying watching
I
that.
know. Was that not? Look, how smart is she? And I just I realize this when I'm out here in these audiences, and Karen and I see them all the time. These women that want to go back to school. I want to be a yoga teacher. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to do. Life is short. What? Who cares? Just do it. Do whatever you want to do, and be around fun, sweet people that love you and lift you up, and it
and
really is.
root
I
for
think
you,
about
which is
And root
something.
for you.
It's what we've all done
yeah,
for each other. We've all been proud of each other's success, and I think that's so important to have those people in your life.
yeah.
It's so
And
true.
Karen has always said this: just because somebody else is doing well doesn't mean that you can't, or that they're going to somehow that affects you. That has nothing to do with you. All what is that you say? The boats. Um,
High tides raise all ships.
Trish says high tides raise all ships. Yeah.
yeah, and
And
that
it's true. You're there's nothing that God's going to give you, Leanne or Karen, that He can't. I always say, God, do what you do for me, what you do for others, do for me, and more, because it's going to be what's on my heart isn't what's on Leanne's heart, isn't what on Karen's heart, and there's room for everybody. That's why I try to. There's not some scarcity thing. Like there's genuinely room for everybody, and if you authentically mean that with your whole person, I promise you, it'll show up. I promise. It's when people get like, there's not enough, there's room. And that's what I know so far is I couldn't love the two of you more. And I'm grateful every day to have you in my life because you don't realize how hard it is to get really great female relationships, friendships in general, but really great female relationships where everybody roots for each other. And that is a something I never take for granted ever. I love
And
y'all.
we were all given, a
you.
unique fingerprint. So just think of all the people in the world, and no two fingerprints are alike. I
Nope.
mean, I think that shows you how we all are different and have our own authenticity. And you don't want to be like anybody else. You want to be yourself. And there's a
That's right.
place for each and every one of us, just like we have our own individuality. So, what Leanne has doesn't make what I want less, or what my potential is less, or Trisha's.
That's right.
What any of us have doesn't diminish us, it lifts us all.
That's right.
Yeah, and
That's
comparing yourself to other people, and I've done it. Comparing yourself to other people steals your joy. It steals your joy.
That's right.
1000%.
And I
That's
think this. I know Maggie lived with Karen when she was working for Make a Wish doing an internship, and I've always said, Trish, that if Maggie was at Coachella and I say Coachella, I don't say things right.
Coachella.
I
Yeah.
say Chipotle. But and she was at Coachella, and I said, you need to get to Maggie right now. You would crawl on your knees on broken glass to get to her and help. And I think, I know that
In a
I can count on
heartbeat.
y'all, and everybody, stuff comes down the road. People get sick. People get in terrible accidents. Think, something may go wrong with your kids or your, God forbid, your husband or whatever, but you need people in your life that are going to be there. And I always say, will y'all speak to my at my funeral? I've been planning my funeral for years because it's going to be a celebration.
Celebration, Leanne. You know I love a celebration of life.
Everybody's going to get their own candy bar, the big one, the Cadbury with fruit nut in it, and there's going to. I ask and maybe even a Diet Coke. But I asked Brian Dorfman to speak at my funeral a couple of weeks ago, Karen, when we were at Judy's birthday party. And he looked at Tess and he goes, "Is your mom sick?" And she went, "No, she's just planning her funeral."
She's been planning it for years.
Yeah, I do, but it's going to be, but I know that y'all would do that. And I know I just think at my age, I start thinking about who is your real friend? Who really cares about you?
That's
Who's going
right.
to be a pallbearer at your funeral? I mean, that stuff happens, and I just, but it's normal to waste time on a bunch of people that through your life that didn't really have your back and all that, and that's normal. But I do think I've got a wonderful bunch of people around me now, and I think that's important for people to know. I've
I
said a bunch
agree.
of stuff about what I
That's
know
what
now.
that's what makes us all so great though. I think that's the truth. I always said one of the nicest compliments y'all ever give me is that I would be your ultimate emergency contact. And I'm like, a lot of people don't want that title. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Because if it is 3 a.m, I will A, answer my phone, and B, you could say body bag and a shovel, don't ask questions, or bottle of wine and some chocolates, don't ask questions. And I'm like, drop a pin, honey, I'm on my way.
Yeah, that's right. And Trish is
Yes.
always like, I'm always like, if I'm in if I'm in that situation, we know, you'd be there in a heartbeat, working the funeral home, you'd know how to help us. And she
Yeah.
would say, don't go to Walmart, don't buy a shovel, don't buy duct tape. Just stay still where you are till I get there.
Dump your history. I'll be right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Don't
And I
panic.
tell my kids all the time, I think this is important. I tell because and Chuck Morgan's was the one that told me, but he said you always go to people's weddings and funerals. That you've got to be there for people, even when you don't feel like it and you don't want to go and you don't. But that's when people remember, and but it's being there for somebody in their worst time and their best time, and
And
that's
that's the
only
absolute
been
truth.
that for me.
well, and we've gone through parents' deaths, parents' strokes. We've gone through losing pets together. We've
Oh,
all been there for each other through somebody getting bullied in middle school. We've been through all that.
somebody off carbs.
Yeah.
We've been through and being there. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had a life trauma on the road and Leanne's like, pull over, I'll drive. Cause I've had to, and that's when you know it. When Leanne says pull over, I'll drive, that's having you back
Serious.
because I've had to sort out life trauma on FaceTime driving down an interstate. And Leanne's like, don't worry. And I'm bawling and literally having to get my act together. And you think about all those deposits into somebody's life that for life, you've got somebody because there's a shorthand that you can't undo, right? I mean, really, in the good and the bad. And so it's seeing someone shine and also seeing somebody at their worst, then turn around, walk on a stage and shine. And that's also, I think, a testament to, I'll say all three of us, where we've had to have some real crappy situations. And y'all don't even know. I mean, not that we're, Tammy Wynette, but we've had some crappy situations and we've turned around, walked out on a stage, been completely professional and authentic, and then come off a stage and, emotionally eat a ham platter backstage because you're going through it. And
Mhm.
there's something to be said about that level of care for each other because we've done that time.
Mhm.
And that's what Leanne refers to as, her Tina Turner. She's got a channel, Tina Turner, when, she sings, she always says, doesn't matter what I'm going through. I just think Tina used to go out there after I whipped her and,
Whipped
beat
her
her
in a
up.
cocaine and raped her in a cocaine rage. That's what I think about. I mean, how many times have I had strep or been sick or somebody said something awful to you before you went up or whatever, or a child's hurting or whatever. You got to get up
That's
there and
right.
the show must go on.
Yeah.
It's the power. It's the power of lifting each other up, and that's these two women right here. I have will happily always have your back, watch you shine. And what I know so far is that we're just at the beginning, all three of us, but definitely these two. So I love y'all so very much.
Well, I love you and I
I
love
love
my
you.
little Kay.
We love you, little Kay.
Oh, and I love y'all. And this has been so fun. And thank you, Leanne, for taking the time. I know you got to get ready for your show tonight.
Yes, Lord
Well,
God, take a comedy nap.
I'm tickled I could do it, y'all. I'm glad I brought a top that had a cute color.
That is your pop color.
Yes,
That is your
it
pop
is.
color.
All right. Bye, honey.
Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.